Welcome back to PuckPod by BD Sports. This is episode 60. We've got myself and Dave here. No Brian this week. We've lost him temporarily to the grind that is law school. So yeah, that's what's going on there. But we've got me and Dave to hold it down. So as always, let's go over our week. Dave, we didn't do anything this week, right? It was like a really boring week for us.
Yeah, it was honestly, I can't really remember what we did, but oh yeah, there was one thing that we did though. So me and Christian officially are scholars once again. We did head back to
Very
school.
scholarly.
Yeah, so we're taking a 1 year graduate's degree course. We'll be as frank as we can with you guys, but not try to give away too much. There will I would like to think that after this first week, I can't speak for yourself, Christian, but I'll speak for my end. I've been having like a great time. Like it honestly, right now it doesn't even feel like school. I would imagine very soon it will start to feel like school. But I'm gonna take the good with whenever the tiredness and the pain starts to come. But I had a great time. Everybody that we've met so far seems really nice. All of our profs seem like chill dudes. I think Christian will be in agreement with that. Um, and I think it will this program will be the start of helping us be better journalists in the future. And that also means bigger and better things to come for the podcast, for the site, maybe other programs or things that we decide we would like to accomplish or do on the BD Sports site. So 2024 could be a great year for us. It should actually be a great year for. I'm not even going to say could because honestly it should be a great year for the both of us.
So far, it's so good. Yeah, I echo everything you said when it comes to like the instructors, our classmates. Like it hasn't felt like school. It's been a long week, that's for sure. It's been a tiring week, but in a very good sense. Okay,
Yeah.
like really good. And obviously yeah, me and Dave have been with each other every single day, which really helps us out. Like you're going into our program, it's a sports journalism program. It's in this field. And as awesome as that is, I'm sure it would have felt a little more daunting had either of us gone into it by ourselves. So it's awesome to have each other to lean on. And just like Dave has mentioned before, like bounce topics off of each other in real time is really good.
That
And with
commute,
that,
man. That
yeah,
commute
yeah, we get some
is
really good convos going. Yeah,
that's our pre-BD like puck pod meetings, basically. I think that's what it's gonna turn
yeah.
into, basically.
100%. Those are the pre-game plannings right there. So yeah, really fun week for us, and yeah, definitely looking forward to putting some of anything we learn into practice through BD Sports. That'll be really cool. So aside from that, and while Brian is also being very studious, a little bit more
Yeah,
studious than us, to be honest. We'll
bro,
get it right into the
probably
hockey.
probably just a
Yeah,
bit.
just a tad. Law versus sports journalism, slight difference. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
let's get into the sports journalism side of things still, and some hockey. First topic I've got for us today is McDavid not enjoying offsides or the offside reviews that come with it. And just some background information on this one. This is referring to Oilers versus Blackhawks earlier this week. Zach Hyman had scored a goal, or so we thought. It was called a goal on the ice until it was called back due to Drysdale being offside. It was a review that took upwards of 10 minutes. Um, and McDavid didn't really feel too great about that. Dave, do you have the quote on your end too? You want me to read the
I think
McDavid's
you
quote
have
there?
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Read it
Okay.
out.
So this is from McDavid. Very simple quote. He did have more than just this, but the gist of it is, quote unquote, if it takes you 15 minutes to determine if it's offside or not, it probably doesn't matter. And Dave, I think he's very right with that. What do you think?
Okay, so I don't know, man. I'm kind of in like two minds about it. Do I agree that reviews need to take a lot long, like a lot less long as
A shorter amount
than
of time
15,
than usual.
a much
Yeah.
shorter amount of time than 15 minutes. But also this is what we called for. For the longest time, the sentiment was the okay, regardless of however many refs there are on the ice, they're not going to be able to catch everything. And we know this because we see them miss blatant penalties at like every game, it seems like, right? Which is fair. Humans are humans. We're never going to be able to catch everything. In real time, stuff that might look judgy, if you slow it down, go frame by frame, uh, it could be one way or the other. Like it's a 50-50 sometimes with like offside calls in real time. But if you slow it down, you can fully determine whether um, it is offside or not, right? But so like there has to be a middle ground here, right? Obviously, you can't have 15-minute long reviews, but also does should that come at the expense of getting the call right? I think that's the biggest question here. You might have to deal with on occasion, and I know it's not great for the fans, and I'm not advocating for this like every single game, but when it comes time for it, you might have to deal with a frame by frame breakdown. And I go to the football, soccer, European football, in England, in Italy, all those major leagues, they also have their own problems with their offside review system. It seems to me that they have maybe like better. I don't know. I wouldn't say better technology, but it seems that
I
the
think I
technology.
would, to be honest.
I don't want to be that harsh to the NHL, but we also get to see in real
I
time.
don't even know if it's being harsh because I think it's a lot tougher to implement that technology on ice than it is with like a
And I
field,
think
right? So it's not
I
like the
think so as
NHL
well.
has dropped the ball here entirely. It's just kind of a totally different
Should there should there
surface to deal
be
with.
should there be relatively similar technology being built right now?
Probably.
Like I would hope that somebody is coming up with that type of idea to maybe eradicate this type of discussion fully. In football, I mean, or soccer, they are no strangers to getting the call wrong as well, even with the extreme amount of technology that they have. That's just a way of life. I'm glad at the very least, regardless of the 15 minutes that it took, which I think you pointed out to me, it's like that's an entire intermission break basically, which is crazy. Um, Regardless of that they get the right call. If they do this for 15 minutes and then the call is then wrong, then it's like what are we doing here, right? But for the sake of an argument, I'm glad that they got the call right at least.
So I'm gonna have to look at it again myself because I don't even know if they really got the call right, which goes to McDavid's point where it is so close that it probably doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things if it was offside or not in terms of scoring a goal. I'm looking at it again right now. I'm trying to watch it in as slow of a motion as I can, and I could not tell you for the life of me if it's offside or not. I do think it's like you said, it's really tough to be black and white on this, where it's like no matter what, we got to get the call right, or we have to value the entertainment of the game and make these reviews as short as possible. Probably neither one is a great solution. You've got to find the happy medium. I did see some suggestions for like a time limit on a review. I don't hate it. Let's say it was I don't know, 5 minutes honestly seems on the shorter side, at least for to start. Let's say a 10-minute cap. Honestly, that's not even honestly, because I think you know what? If you gave the refs 10 minutes, they would use 10 minutes. Let's go with a 5 minute
Five
cap.
minutes. 5 minutes is
And at
fine.
that point, if you cannot determine in one way or another, the call on the ice stands. I'm not opposed to that. I think that's fine. On the other hand, in a playoff situation, I do think you can be as black and white as you can. I do think the call being right is what matters above whatever entertainment value you lose or however much of the audience says, I'm not watching this because this is taking forever. I don't care, to be honest. Get the call right when it matters. Regular season, I think you can maybe dabble with it a little bit differently. Do you have any thoughts on that? Do you think it should be a different
Uh,
quote
and
unquote rule
that
book in the
that
playoffs?
sounds that definitely sounds fantastic in theory.
Yeah.
Are we sure that like I don't think the NHL would ever kind of like flip-flop between the two. I I think if one rule gets set in place, I think that's the rule that gets set in place. And maybe it's 10 minutes all around.
All encompassing regular season playoffs.
Maybe that's the way that it goes. I personally I don't think that the NHL is going to be like, okay, for 82 games, we're gonna use a 5 minute cap, and then come April, guys, if there's a call, use as much time as you want to be as thorough to get the call right. I'm not that sounds like a great plan in my head. There's probably some cons I'm not thinking of right now. Uh, maybe the refs are too thorough. Like maybe that lends to like give them more thought. Like the more of that thought gives them more of a doubt in terms of the call that can be made. I don't know. Those are the types of situations that arise putting it into like real time situations, right? So I'm not too sure. I agree though, Christian, that definitely sounds a lot better in theory. I'm a bit skeptical that the NHL would ever put that into practice though.
I do agree on that front. One more thing, because I think you'll also be in agreement on this. A lot of this could be cleared up by maybe not even making referees available right after game, but at some point, like let a ref, at least in these types of situations, let them clarify their thought process for why it took so long. What were they doing for 15 minutes? What is their reasoning? Was it 5 minutes looking at one angle, 5 minutes looking at another angle? 5 minutes communicating to the Toronto War Room to take a look at this, see if they could like if that's the case, you start to feel a little bit more in their favor. Like you start to understand how this can take so long. But we're left in the dark.
Listen,
So that's not
public
something we know.
opinion, public opinion on referees right now are probably at the lowest that they've ever been. I don't think you could find a single person who would be like, yeah, all the refs in the NHL have done a fantastic job. They're doing a
You can
perfect
copy
job.
paste that for all the leagues though too. Like
A hundred
it's a
percent.
sport wide thing.
The difference between the NHL, the sport that we love, that we watch, and say another league like the NBA is that they have some sort of
And slight accountability. Like
yeah, dude.
accountability is the wrong
Listen, I'm
like just
not.
feedback.
No, I think accountability is the
Okay.
correct term in this situation. Uh, listen, am I the biggest fan of the 2 minute report that the NBA does? I'm like in the middle there. Like I'm glad to see the accountability being taken, but also at the same time, that doesn't account for the
We still
what
have
is it,
some utterly
46 other
terrible.
minutes?
Yeah, yeah, and
Yeah.
there's still like, despite that accountability, there's still some utterly terrible referee
So
performances, especially this year.
so the thought process there is listen, all the calls that maybe you miss in the 46 other minutes, they're not as important as the calls that are being made in the last two. And I
Which
completely agree with that. That is fair because those I think those last 2 minutes are as important like or probably the most important part of any game. Could we see the NHL maybe doing like a 5 minute report, like the last 5 minutes? I'm not too sure. I would
it's a
just like
start.
I would like to see something being put in practice though. Anything that you have right now is better than any thought that you have right now and anything you could put into practice is better than what we have right now, which is zero accountability. You can't talk to the refs. They're not speaking their minds. You like everything, like all of that. It's so mind-boggling that in 2024 we still have to talk about this. Like it's not 1982 anymore, guys. We're in the 21st century. We have all of this video review, but we still aren't allowed to talk to the refs. It's mind-boggling to me.
Yeah. All right, that's a lot of ref talk.
Yeah, let's go.
It's not something we love to do anyways, but
No, I hate it. I
it'll probably
honestly
get
I hate
talked
it.
about.
It,
Yeah,
it
I
takes away
always
from the
say like
game.
referee talk and suspension talk are two of my least favorite things to discuss.
They need to be
So yeah,
done. They do
yeah,
need to be done, and I'm in complete agreement, but it's not what we want to talk
it's
about.
not
Give
enjoyable at
us
all.
I would much rather talk about how Zach Hyman scored that goal to I know that they ended up winning, I believe the Oilers, but I'd like to talk about Zach Hyman, unfortunately as a Leaf
Popping
fan,
off.
yeah, getting another like hat trick or something. Like
Yeah,
that is what we would much prefer talking about rather than this, basically. So
absolutely. In that spirit, Dave, let's talk
go.
some much better hockey content. At least in some respects. Let's move through a trade. Pretty huge trade. Honestly, one of the bigger trades of memory, not even just because of the actual players traded, but all of the drama surrounding it. Like it's interesting. I think the drama surrounding it might even be bigger than the trade itself in consequence, like just hockey, just in terms of on the ice.
So
And
you know it's a big trade when we're still talking about the ramifications a week later, basically,
yes, yeah,
right?
yeah. This is we've probably had some type of conversation around this, us two and other people every single day
Yeah,
for the past week. And so let's get some context around this. Flyers and Ducks make a trade, and the trade is highly touted prospect Cutter Gauthier and a second, or actually no, sorry, just Cutter Gauthier going to the Anaheim Ducks. The Anaheim Ducks sending to the Flyers. Once highly touted prospect Jamie Drysdale, now a young and up and coming defenseman, and the second round pick. That is the trade. But there's a lot more surrounding that. I think it's honestly better for us to cover all the stuff around the trade, and we'll end with some good old fashioned on ice hockey talk, just
analysis.
how this affects
I
the
like that.
teams. Yeah,
Yep,
yeah.
let's do it.
So really, you have to go back to May 11th to really understand where the story starts. Actually, I'd argue even further back. You got to go to the draft where Cutter Gauthier goes quite high overall. I want to say, I think he was what? I think he was eighth.
I'm gonna say
Might even been
six.
higher. Yeah, let's give it a look here.
Flyers
Um,
haven't been that good, so you could say anywhere between
yeah,
like 4 to like 8, and you might be right.
yeah. So he was drafted 2022, fifth overall,
Fifth
fifth
overall.
overall
Wow.
by the Philadelphia Flyers. And this past spring, May 11th, the World Championships concluded, something that Cutter Gauthier was a part of for the U.S. team. Um, and he met with the Flyers. At that point, new ownership, or there was actually ownership reconstruction too, but new management. Keith Jones, Danny Briere taking over for Chuck Fletcher. And they wanted to talk to him about his future as a Flyer. And he basically wasn't about it. It was at that point that they told him he will not be signing as a Flyer. And Danny Briere is quoted as, this is paraphrasing here of Danny. He basically said we had just two questions for Cutter Gauthier and his agent. Question number one: can we meet with you just to show you what we're about, let you know what's going on here and what our vision is? And when the response to that question was no, question number two is why? And the response to that question was also we're not telling you. Just they got stonewalled by Cutter Gauthier and his agent here. At this point, still a week later, we don't truly know what it was that fueled his decision. And it might not have been one thing. And that's something that Cutter Gauthier said as much. He said it was not just one thing that led me to not signing with the Flyers. Um, Other than that, we did get reports from Friedman, Elliot Friedman, who's definitely a good source on this type of stuff. And he said part of this could have been that Cutter Gauthier felt not appreciated by the Flyers because he didn't get signed at the end of last year after finishing his college season at a point where there was still 15 or 16 games left in the regular season. And that matters because that was enough games for him to get in to burn a year off of his EOC. It's something that the Leafs did for Matthew Knies last year. Um, so that just gives you some perspective, maybe if you're a Leafs fan, of why this is important. It is something that a lot of the college free agents, not free agents, college drafted players look at. So he felt a little bit slighted by that. And the Flyers' perspective was we didn't want to accrue any type of bonus overages on our cap for this season right now that we're in, because they do have some carrying over from last year already. So that's their prerogative. It might not have been a lot of money, like we're talking less than $1 million. But yeah, that was their logic behind it. And so you end up with this stalemate, and that's kind of how we end up with this trade. Any thoughts on that part of it, Dave, before we get into more of like the messy stuff? Do you
Well,
understand his rationale?
obviously, my only question is why? What was the separate? And it's the same question that Daniel Briere and Keith Jones probably have, and honestly, the whole Philadelphia Flyers fan base and probably the rest of the hockey world. This isn't something that we see too often. Maybe it's more common in other sports. This isn't a typical hockey type of move. Like it happens few and far between. Not that it hasn't
It's like
happened.
once every 4 or 5 years, I'd say.
Yeah, 100%. It's definitely few and far between.
Like the two that come to mind are Adam Fox,
And Pierre-Luc Dubois.
um, Pierre-Luc Dubois. Well, no, that was a different one because
Well,
he
he
didn't
was
play for his
actively
franchise,
playing, yeah,
right? Yeah,
100%.
I'm
Okay, you're
thinking like
saying like
exact same
before, yeah.
scenario. Adam Fox and Jimmy
Adam Fox
VC
is
are
the
the
big
two.
one,
Yeah,
100%.
Jimmy VC is the other guy that
I
comes to
I
mind.
listen, if we're gonna talk in terms of talent, I think Cutter Gauthier is falling towards the Adam
From zero
Fox
being
side.
Jimmy VC and 10 being Adam Fox, who
Adam
are
Fox.
coincidentally teammates right now. Yeah,
Yeah.
Cody Gauthier. Yeah, he's on the
It's
higher end
probably
of that.
closer to the Fox side. Yeah, so
Yeah,
my only question, and I think the question on your mind, probably the rest of the hockey
everybody's
world's
fine.
mind is
Yeah,
why? I think that's do we I always go back to this, like there's so many situations where I just ask myself, do we deserve to be told why? I
yeah.
don't think so.
At least not in
Maybe
this very moment.
yeah. I think as time passes, maybe we learn a little bit more. I think right now, before Cutter's even played a game in the NHL, I don't think it's that important. The trade is done. Both parties seem to be happy. Both by actually all three parties. It seems like the Cutter Gauthier camp, the Ducks camp who received Cutter, and the Flyers who received Jamie Drysdale. They all seem to be in agreement and happy with the decision being made. Maybe the only one that you feel a little bit sorry for is somebody like Jamie Drysdale. I don't know if you saw the quotes recently with like him and or Zegris's quotes about him.
They're pretty funny quotes. It's a good
Yeah,
quote.
it's just like, yeah, you're losing your
Yeah,
friend, but maybe you're
yeah,
making another friend in the process. It's not like the guys like you can't message the guy every now and then, but that's for
yeah.
a different story.
I'll,
That is
I'm
the
gonna.
question. That is the question I have right now. Why?
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah. That Trevor Zegras quote, if you're not aware of it, it came out like a month ago. So it was just in relation to him and Drysdale being injured at the same time. He's like, yeah, we do everything together. We signed, we're like we started together. We get injured together. We pee together. It's just a hilarious quote.
Yeah.
Um, and also though, yeah, Drysdale did have like he had a media availability obviously after his first game, which he did pretty good in. Picked up a power play assist, I believe. A lot of Flyers fans were happy with his performance, and he basically said he's pretty happy to be there, and he kind of just he realized in that first game how much the fans care and just the atmosphere of Philly compared to Anaheim. Not to slight them, but sorry, at least when Anaheim's not playing well, it's going to be a tougher crowd. When Anaheim's rocking, sure, the crowd will be rocking, but that's not kind of the fortune that Drysdale had in Anaheim. Okay, we got to get into the other stuff here, the not so fun stuff once again. Um, and this relates to Kevin Hayes, former Flyer, now St. Louis Blue. Was traded there in the offseason. That's how he ended up there. And a friend of Cutter Gautier's. This is someone who Cutter looked up to as a hockey player, as a professional, getting into this sport. Um, and he was basically not thrown under the bus because that would imply maybe there's actually some truth to it. He was wrongfully accused of being part of this trade, like helping influence Cutter to not sign with the Flyers. Um, this rumor was unfortunately started by a Philly reporter. I think we have the reporter Dave.
Yeah. So his name
What
is
was it again?
Anthony Sanfilippo. He is a
Yeah,
reporter who is affiliated with um the Flyers.
yeah,
I don't know in what capacity, but the podcast that he was on, it was reported that is a Flyers supported podcast, which maybe adds a little bit more fuel to that fire. Like,
yeah.
yeah, not a good look.
It's not a story that's done yet, so we'll see what ends up coming from it too. But listen, this guy comes out and basically says that this has Kevin Hayes' fingerprints all over it. This eventually gets back to Kevin Hayes. And I don't have the quote on me. It is a fiery quote. It's a curse laden quote. It's a good quote. And he lays it all out. He says it's a lot of BS. He doesn't appreciate it. He's received death threats because of these accusations. He's had people saying they're happy that his brother is dead. Jimmy Hayes, former NHLer as well.
Awful.
Just awful, awful stuff. Um, Based off of loosely connected dots. Like I said, like Kevin Hayes, Cutter Gauthier, they knew each other for sure. Um, Outside of that, though, and Kevin laid it out himself. He says, and I'm paraphrasing here, he says, "Who am I to have that type of influence over a kid? Like that's his decision." And then from that point, going back to the Philly side, you have Tortorella, someone who we'd all say, based off of how last year went, probably didn't see eye to eye with Kevin Hayes from a strictly hockey's perspective. This is someone he healthy scratched multiple times throughout the year.
As a
Um,
leading point getter as well.
as the leading point getter, like that tells you a lot.
It's big,
Um,
yeah.
and here's Torts a couple nights ago coming to his defense big time and basically calling out this reporter, asking for where he is in the scrum and saying, like, what the hell are you doing? Why would you think Kevin Hayes would do that? So a really stand up move by Torts there. Um, and just like a really unfortunate scenario. And I didn't even mention the other player involved in this trade, like Cutter Gauthier. Once again, he was receiving death threats from the Philly side too
I
for not
mean,
wanting to sign there.
listen, I'm not
It's a
in
common
the
denominator.
yeah, I am not the I don't want to be like the shepherd of telling fans how they should react because I'm not. But there is a line in the sand, and all I want to say is Philly fans, please be better. I, I it's not the first time that this has happened with a fan base with this fan base actually. The Philly fans fortunately or unfortunately, do have a reputation in the
Passionate
sports world.
friends.
Passionate, 100%. We're not going to discredit the great fans that they have in terms of maybe the sour apples in the bunch because there's sour apples in
Yes.
every single fan base. There is 100%.
No, Dave, in Toronto, what? You're kidding me. Oh,
Yeah, like listen, I've seen my share of this type of stuff as well. And it's the common consensus is it's never needed. You're just
yeah.
adding
It's a
more.
loud minority, not a
Yeah, it is.
not representative of the fan base at large.
Unfortunately, it is. And I hope that we get to a time where this isn't a problem anymore. But I also
Yeah.
know humans in general will probably never get it to a point where this is allowed. Unfortunately, or fortunately, or not fortunately. Unfortunately, that is the situation that we live in. Um,
Yeah.
and we also hope the best for all the parties involved. Um, and if you are one of those people to get on Instagram, get on Twitter, send in fan mail, if that's how you decide to do this, maybe go seek some professional help. That's taking it way, way, way over the line. I don't know if sports are actually for you. Maybe tone it down.
Well said, Dave. Well said. One more thing before we go to, like I said, the concrete hockey part of this trade. I just want to give some kudos to Danny Briere, someone who I think handled this like really well. He's someone who I always like sing his praises about.
I think we
He's one of
could.
my favorite players growing
Seems
up,
like a great
and
guy.
he seems like a great guy, and he's a GM that I put a lot of faith in. He held a media availability during the game that he made the
Crazy.
trade in, like just between intermissions. Like talk about
Listen,
some
I
just
I
quick,
said I said this is a situation we don't see like we see few and far between in terms of the actual hockey trade and like the context around it. I don't think I've
yeah,
ever seen a general manager and president of hockey ops break down their trade literally moments after the trade happened, quite like that. So like, hats off
yeah,
to Keith and to Dan. Like awesome, awesome
yeah.
job.
Keith also had a really just baller quote. If you don't want to be a flyer, you won't be a flyer. Well
Yeah,
said,
fair
Keith.
enough. Fair
Well
enough.
said. Okay,
Yeah.
hockey. Let's
So
go. The fun stuff. The stuff we're here for. Okay, Dave. Unfortunately, we don't have a resident U.S. prospect analyst here in Brian, so we don't have the greatest Cutter Gauthier analysis for you guys,
Yeah, yeah,
especially as we
100%.
both missed the World Juniors. But suffice to say, he was pretty good. He scored a bunch of goals,
Yeah.
got a lot of points, might
Stat
be
line,
decent.
stat line tells
That
me
line checks out.
everything about this kid is great, phenomenal.
Yeah,
And it
yeah,
checks out for whatever we've heard about Cutter in the past. Like everything seems to check out
yeah.
about him.
And if you don't know, like, yeah, this guy, Jeff, fifth overall. He's first line talent. He's a sniper. He's an offensively gifted player. That's what the Anaheim Ducks are getting. And I think the consensus has been that Anaheim has won this trade off of potential alone, off of yeah, what the upside is in Cutter Gauthier. I do want to come to the defense of the Flyers though and say this was not a fleecing. Like we said, they have to be happy with this return to get back for a player that did not want to sign with them. The original sin, this is like a conversation that we had at school. The original sin wasn't committed by making this trade. It was probably by the previous management group not having full confidence or not receiving full confidence from Cutter Gauthier that he would sign before he was even drafted. And maybe he did. Maybe he honestly was willing to sign as a Flyer before that case, but something changed down the line. So I don't fault them for having to make this trade. And I do think Jamie Drysdale is a really awesome defenseman, a super young defenseman. I believe he's only 21 or 22, and someone with a ton of upside himself. Also drafted in that very similar range. He might have actually been fifth overall too.
Fifth or
Actually, no,
sixth.
he what? Yeah, I think he might have been sixth because I think Sanderson was fifth in that one.
Yep.
But listen, this guy is top pair potential as well. Right-handed shot, offensively gifted.
Yep.
Like
Can
he's
run a
someone
power
who
play.
can run a power play big time. Um, and has unfortunately just had injury problems in his first couple years in the NHL. The analytics haven't been the best on him, but I'll tell you what, the analytics haven't been good on anyone that's played for Anaheim the past couple years. Okay, just ask John Klingberg and Simon
Simone
Benoit,
Benoit.
at least for Leaf fans.
Yep.
So we'll see what he does. Like you can't make more of a 180 from a defensive standpoint, going from the Anaheim Ducks, who were the worst defensive team in the NHL last year, to a John Tortorella coached Philadelphia Flyers team.
Yep.
So I think that's while he's an offensively gifted player, I think it's a match made in heaven in terms of growing the defensive side of his game. So as much as I do agree, Anaheim, winner of the trade, Philly was no slouches here. They've got themselves a really good one in Drysdale and a second round pick too.
Dude, I said it, I think I might have said it to you as soon as we found out about the trade. I you know what? I will give my hats off to Philly for even getting somebody as who can be as quality as Jamie Drysdale is in return for a potential like if another great job that the Flyers did was keeping this all under wraps. This trade
Yes.
truly had the hockey world
It's like I talked about May
in
11th. We're
shock.
talking about he
Yeah,
didn't show
yeah,
Cutter Gauthier didn't show up to Flyers camp, and his story still didn't get out.
yeah,
Right. In
100%.
hindsight, we know exactly why he didn't show up to camp now, but
Yeah, 100%.
Briere he runs a tight ship, man.
He really does. Like there's no leaks on that ship right now. And for what could have been for other people a disaster class of a trade, I think Daniel Briere made out of this maybe not scot-free. There was a couple of burn marks here and there, but for the most part, getting somebody of Jamie Drysdale's quality, I don't think I need to go into Cutter's quality. I think we know
Speaks for
Cutter's
itself.
quality. Getting somebody like Jamie Drysdale for what he did is pretty phenomenal. And you know what? Maybe this is the type of move that Jamie Drysdale needs to. I don't think it's that hard to see. Like his defensive game probably isn't there where it should be right now. Maybe under John Torts, it gets to a place where maybe a lot of people didn't expect it to get to. My thought has always been it's easier to teach the defensive side of defense than it is to get the skill side of defense, the handed work, the running the power play, all of that. That seems like intuition, basically. If you either have that skill or you don't, it is a lot easier to read the defensive schemes and to come back and all that type of stuff. And I think John is one of the best in the league right now to teach a player who just turned legal drinking age in the US, um, how to get his game up, basically, right? Even if let's say 10 years down the line and Jamie Drysdale is only just a league average defender, but his offensive skills are, second to none. I think the Philadelphia Flyers made out like not like bandits, but they made out with a nice return in this deal.
Yeah, going back for just one more part about the Anaheim side of things. Pat Verbeek is putting himself quite the core together. He was Jamie Drysdale was expendable to him because he's got an insane amount of defensemen that are just starting out or aren't even on the team yet. Pavel Mintyukov has been like in the Calder Trophy race this year.
Who's
He's been that
unfortunately
good.
just gotten hurt.
Yes, yes. You've got like an underrated guy like Jackson Lacombe. You've got Tristan Luno. You've got Olin Zellweger.
Yep.
Luno, Zellweger, and Mintyukov have all been defensemen of the year in their respective junior leagues.
along
OHL for
with Drys
Mintyukov.
along with Drysdale before that as well. Like,
Yeah. Like they
wow.
could afford to make this move, and I think this might have been something we should have seen coming. Going back to the rough negotiations between Drysdale, Zegras, and the Ducks. We've even maybe even heard whispers about Zegras maybe being available, but we can touch on that when there's more concrete info. So listen, Verbeek did himself a great job here. You're talking about a core of Cutter Gauthier, Trevor Zegras, Troy Terry, Leo Carlson, Mason McTavish, Pavel Mintyukov. Like that's a really, really, really
Lucas
not
Dostal
only
in net.
yeah, like we're not just talking quality, we're talking quantity. We're talking both here. So
Yep. Boatloads.
if only they just went full time to their retro jerseys, then they'd be a lot better too. You can't
I
convince me
I
otherwise.
have a, I have a feeling in the future we might see that
Yeah,
commit. Yeah.
I think so too. Okay, well
Do you
we're
want to
gonna
take a break?
transition. Yeah, we're gonna transition from talking about some quality young players here to talking about probably the most quality young player, in a more unfortunate sense. But yeah, first we're gonna take a break. All right, we're back from our break, and as I mentioned before, we're gonna go from talking about some quality young players like Drysdale and Cutter Gauthier to the most quality young player, Connor Bedard, who was unfortunately injured out for 6 to 8 weeks after suffering a fractured jaw. This happened on a play where he got clobbered by Brendan Smith, the New Jersey Devils, Brendan Smith. Um, Bedard was doing Bedard things. One man rush, one man breakout, coming out of his zone. Typical dangles from Bedard. Enters the offensive zone to be met by the shoulder of Mr. Brendan Smith. The shoulder met Bedard, and yeah, that's how injuries happen. Really unfortunate. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why I explained it like that, but yeah, really unfortunate stuff. Why is it that the generational player has to get injured in their rookie season again? Like we've already done this with McDavid. Why are we doing this again? The McDavid one was a lot dirtier.
Yeah.
That's
There's
one
that
that
was even like this one's more
yes,
unfortunate as much
yes,
as the McDavid play was malicious. You know what I mean?
yeah,
I strongly don't think Brendan Smith was going into that check saying, I'm gonna break this guy's face,
yeah.
basically. I mean, it does happen, don't get me wrong, but if 99 out of 100 times that play happens, Brandon Smith knocks Connor Bedard just off the puck. Connor Bedard is able to maybe sneak away from the oncoming check. It just so happened that one time that this play happens, and it ends up in the most unfortunate circumstance for Connor Bedard. Looks like he might also miss the All-Star game if he's not healthy.
Probably.
I I
That's the real unfortunate. Well, there's a lot of
okay,
unfortunate things
so
here,
I,
but
I I'm in two minds of that because I know it's a broken jaw, don't get me wrong, but if he's only able to participate in like the skills comp and not the All-Star game, is that the biggest problem? Like
no, no, no.
like
But I'm worried that he won't be able to do that too. Like,
and
I,
that is probably the most unfortunate part. Like I'm not too sure. Maybe that decision happens. Like I'm still personally not ruling him out fully from attending the All-Star game because I think it's in the NHL's best interest to at least get him there speaking to the public at the very least.
Yes, that's a good. That's very true. Should at least do the media rounds. I mean, poor guy can't even get a potential
Probably,
vacation over the All-Star
dude,
break, but yeah,
that guy probably can't even drink, like can't even eat solid foods right now, let alone speak to
yeah.
anybody. Uh, so I guess we'll see that that looks like that will be a story to take place on February 1st, January 31st, the end of this month. We'll see what the NHL decides about that. But in the current, the Chicago Blackhawks are probably losing their best offensive weapon. Let's
Oh, without a doubt. Okay, before we touch on the team aspect, because I do think that's important, I just want to stick individually here on Bedard, and
yeah.
I'm just pissed off that we're losing out on one of the greatest rookie seasons of the salary cap era. Like he was on point per game pace, 40 goal scorer, all that good stuff. Something that
Yep.
we haven't seen since the likes of
Austin Matthews.
McDavid's pace, Austin Matthews season, Crosby and Ovechkin. Like those are the names that we're talking about here.
Hmm.
At least from like an 18-year-old or like a fresh, just a first year NHLer coming straight out of junior. So I'm pissed that we're missing out on that. I'm pissed that we're missing out on this guy probably being the guy who wins the Calder. I don't know if he can make up that, right? We're having that McDavid versus Panarin situation maybe again. There's
Hmm.
no Panarin in this year's rookie crop, but he's gonna have some making up to do, and I don't know if he's gonna have the time to do it. So I think that's what I'm most pissed off about this. I like I said, like we said, Brendan Smith, not a. I don't think that was a crazy play where it was targeted and all that. But it's just frustrating, and it's like we said, All-Star game in Toronto. God damn it, I wanted to see Bedard.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, okay, but
100%.
let's get into the Blackhawks. Their roster is like pitiful now. Like
Yeah. I
it's
mean, that just adds on top. Like, it seems the whole, like, the team has just been cursed with injuries and not bad luck, but that the whole Corey Perry situation, which we're gonna get into later on, actually in this episode. Um, that whole team is just decimated. What was the
yeah.
number? It was like they had only $13 million worth of forwards dressed, or was it $13
So
million worth of players dressed? I forget what the it
the
couldn't have been
stat
players because
that
Seth Jones was on the team, and I think he makes
yeah,
up
and he
nine
makes up
million.
yeah. The stat that I saw that was crazy was they had a bigger cap hit on their injured and long-term injury reserve than they did on the active roster. So they had like 35 million on injured reserve and 35 million on the active roster. So that's nuts. We didn't even talk about this. God forbid Bedard can't go to All-Star weekend. Who's the replacement?
Nobody. Is it okay
Yeah, right.
if the Blackhawks just don't send the player?
Sit this one out, guys.
Yeah, like
Yeah, I
listen,
mean, I don't know.
if
Like,
you have to send like Philip Kurashev,
that's probably the answer.
is it that much of a deal that you just don't have anybody there this year?
To be honest, bro, send Philip Kurashev, put him in the skills comp. I want to see this guy pop off. Like, I
Just go,
just have,
yeah. The what a story
yeah.
that would be, man. Like if he's,
It'd be great.
I don't know, in the accuracy shoot. Like I don't think
Yeah, he's
Philip
a
Kurashev
sniper guy. Like, that's
is
him.
the skater. I don't know if he's winning fastest skater, but give him something. Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah,
guess sure,
yeah.
throw the guy a bone, maybe.
They'd
I
probably go with like
also
Nick Foligno, if we're being honest. Who signed a 2 year extension? We should mention that too. 2 year extension at 4.5 million.
good for him.
That's a
Good for
rich
him.
deal. Very
Very
good for
good for
him.
him. If he's the your pick to go, stay home.
Yeah, no, yes. Yes.
Just stay home.
Um,
It's
yeah.
fine.
Anything else you want to add on this? I think we covered most of it. Don't think there's too
Yeah,
much.
it's unfortunate. The
Yeah,
only thing I do want to add is, we're making the comparisons already to Connor McDavid, who got injured in his rookie career. Lot maybe could lose out. Like Bedard could lose out in Calder votes, just like McDavid did. But if you look at the pace that Connor McDavid's been on ever since then, whew, if Connor Bedard can do even 75 to 80% of what Connor McDavid's done over the past, almost decade, I think we're I think we're in store for, you know, an absolutely lights out rocket of a player. But again, it's just so unfortunate the way that this whole situation came about. So, anything else, Christian? You got?
So, something tells me that he's more than capable of that, and we'll see it as soon as he comes back from injury. Yeah.
I think so too.
Okay. So Chicago Blackhawks, they've been basement dwellers for basically the entire year. Let's talk about some non-basement dwellers. We're talking actually living in a penthouse. And that starts with like the Winnipeg Jets. The Winnipeg Jets on an 8-game win streak. We're talking about the Edmonton Oilers, who have also rattled off 9 wins in a row. We're talking about the Florida Panthers, who have rattled off also 9 wins in a row, and the Seattle Kraken on an 8-game win streak. This is the first time in NHL history that 4 teams have been on an 8-game or longer win streak at the same time. We touched on Winnipeg a lot last episode. I don't think we have to go too much in depth on them at all, other than saying this is right now the top team in the entire league. Kudos to Winnipeg on that front. Their 8-game win streak is a franchise record.
Yep.
They're on a record point streak
Not
as
that
well.
not that surprising considering they also inherit the Thrashers records as well, and they weren't doing too
Yeah,
much winning back then. So
I'm surprised though. Like the 2018 Jets, like didn't
yeah,
have not
yeah.
even
Uh,
an 8-game win streak. That was a little
you
bit
know
surprising.
what? I I think they might have probably came close, maybe five, six, seven. I think,
Yeah,
seven might have been what they were topping out at.
yeah,
8 games in a row is very, very hard to do. Let's not put it past any of these 4 teams. It's a very tough. I mean, granted, 4 of the 32 are currently on these winning streaks, so it can't
yeah,
be like that insanely difficult to do, but it is still insanely difficult to do. That's why it's the first time in NHL
yeah.
history where we've had 4 separate teams accomplish this, right? Uh,
Should mention as well, they've still got that streak going of surrendering 3 goals or less. I think we're at like 32 games in a row now.
Crazy,
It's an
unbelievable.
insane number. But yeah, we've touched on Winnipeg in the past. I'm gonna skip over Florida because I want to get back to them. Edmonton talk. I don't know if there's even too much to talk about here in terms of this is the team that we expected them to be coming into the year, and it just seems like they're getting a lot of positive regression. Goaltending has been fine and good enough, and it's crazy how much of a difference that makes. I think their record is 18-6-0 under Chris Knobloch, their new coach. Um, but it's not like there was some trade here that sparked this. It's a lot of just internal stuff. It's Zach Hyman being unreal and leading the lead in 5-on-5 goals with 17. It's McDavid doing McDavid things, Drysdale doing Drysdale things, and competent goaltending.
What
Is it
we
much more than that?
expected, what we expected those two to do, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So, if you're looking for the biggest like sign of growth from the Oilers, I'm probably looking at Evan Bouchard, who started the year not so hot with the rest of the Oilers, like had a lot of defensive gaps. But if you look at a lot of his advanced numbers now, he's in like the 95th percentile and higher in them. Like he had him and Ekholm, that pairing from last year that was really damn good after the deadline. They're doing it again. I couldn't even tell you how many points Bouchard has right now, but it's a lot. He's on pace, I think, for a point per game season as a defenseman. He's taken over all of the offensive duties in that respect from like Darnell Nurse, runs the power play. He was my breakout player of the year, which I don't know, maybe it was a little bit of cheating because he was insane in the playoffs already. But I mean, he's taking it to the next level. He really is. So that's if I had to choose one player who's really making a difference from last year compared to this year, it's him.
yeah, fair enough. And I think it goes without saying, like, shout out to Stuart Skinner for at the very least being competent, because that's all we were asking for in the early run of the season. Like, you get competent goaltending out of, unfortunately, Jack Campbell, and who knows where they're at right now. Jack Campbell's probably in the league, first of all, but even Stuart Skinner was teetering very close to also being like the next guy sent down as well. Like his numbers were no better. So good on Stuart Skinner for pulling out of the sewer. I know his numbers aren't like fantastic, like
Back
as
over a 900 save percentage. He's at 901 right now in 28
awesome.
games. So
That is quite literally all the Edmonton Oilers
yeah,
need. If they get 905 goaltending, I'm not surprised that they're on an 8-game win streak. Just because of their offensive talent.
yeah. I just want to get those Evan Bouchard numbers. He does have 9 goals, 30 assists for 39 points in 38 games.
Yeah.
Playing
Oh, just over.
22 over 22 minutes a night, most on the team.
Good.
Just ahead of Darnell Nurse. So
That's good.
decent little player there.
Yep.
Seattle is a very interesting one because I don't think any of us saw this coming at
That's
all.
the biggest one of these things aren't like the other. Of these four, you
Yeah,
have the Jets who are first in the league, you have the Panthers who are like fifth in the league, then the Oilers I think are like 15th, so top half. And then the Kraken who are like 25th still, but they're on is it 9 or 8 games for the Kraken? I think it's 8.
8 games, 8 games. Okay,
Joey
it's
Decord.
very simple. That is the win streak. Like Joey Decord is the win streak. Do you have
Yeah.
his numbers, or would you like to hear his numbers?
I know if I'm not mistaken, he leads the league in save percentage.
Dude, I had no idea that Joey Decord has. Forget about that save percentage because I saw that I'm like, oh, that's really good. He's got into 26 games for them. Like he has been their starter.
I think now
Grubauer,
he might be the starter.
yeah, well, I think 100%.
Yeah,
Grubauer played 17 games. Drieger's got the one, and it's been Joey Decord 26 games and a 925 save percentage. That
crazy.
is that is really good, really damn good for Joey Decord. Obviously, the highlight of that was the 3-0 shutout against Vegas in a Winter Classic. Um, he was also really good for their AHL team last year that went to the finals, ended up losing to the Hershey Bears. But I'm pretty sure it was him who had back-to-back shutouts in the finals. I think it was. It was some really impressive stat for the Coachella Valley Firebirds. So shout out to Joey Decord. Shout out to Vince Dunn, their leading
Yeah.
scorer as a
hmm
defenseman, 34 points in 41 games. Dave, who is their leading point getter at forward?
Well,
This is a
unfortunately,
team.
I did
No,
have a look at
okay.
the lead.
And did it surprise you?
Yes. Well, see, here's the thing. I don't know if it surprised me as much as it makes, not that it makes sense, but it's like, so it's Oliver Bjorkstrand, which is a surprising name considering they have guys like Matty Beniers, who's not really had a great season, I'll admit. Guys like, I don't know, Jordan Eberle's still there. Jared McCann's still there. Okay, I forget. But it seems to me like the if you look down the list, I'm looking at goal scoring right now. Team lead Jared McCann with 14, then
Yeah.
Oliver Bjorkstrand with 11, and then Eli Tolvanen with 10. Those are the only 3 players on the team with double-digit goals. But if you go down the list, you have guys with like Vince Dunn who has 8 from the back end. You have Matty Beniers who has 6. Jordan Eberle only has 4 goals in 37 games. That's a bit out of the ordinary for somebody like Jordan Eberle. Jaden Schwartz only has 9, but he's only played 25 games. When Alex Wenberg, 7 and 41. So you going up and down the list, it looks like it's a lot of scoring by committee, timely goals, and big saves. That seems
Yes,
to be the
that's the big
Seattle
one.
Kraken's that seems to be Seattle Kraken's motto because
Um,
that's like almost a carbon copy of what they were doing last year. Did they have anybody who went so far and beyond, like, or 1 or 2 guys who went so far and beyond in terms of points and goals on that team? I don't think so.
it
It
was
was
like it was McCann and Beniers that were the leaders there. I would argue this year they've given up some of their potential on offense, and it's been replaced with goaltending, like elite goaltending.
yeah,
Last year they did not get elite goaltending. They
they
got
just
what like it
scored.
was that competent goaltending, and they could score by committee, like you said. And this year,
Mhm.
yeah, they are scoring by committee. I didn't even realize that Bjorkstrand had 31 there. I was looking at Eli Tolvanen, the second leading goal scorer with 27 points. I missed Bjorkstrand there with a couple more. Um, those are 2 guys, honestly. Like you can just say a lot of the same things for both of them. Bjorkstrand was a trade acquisition. I think he only cost them a third. Eli Tolvanen, a
Off
damn
of
waiver
waivers.
pickup.
Yeah.
Jared McCann expansion draft. Like just a bunch of guys who they made really, really smart decisions to acquire. Vince Dunn, trade, like
Yeah.
really, really great.
The Seattle Kraken are a team full of bet on themselves type players.
Yeah, bet
Besides
on
Matty
themselves, but
Beniers.
also like kudos to management for identifying those guys,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like they did a great job of realizing who needs a opportunity and not only who needs the opportunity, but who can actually deliver in a greater
Yeah.
position.
There's one thing to be said about, you know, wanting the opportunity. There's
Yeah.
another thing to be said about actually seizing the opportunity and taking it. And two guys that exemplify that the best right now are probably Oliver Bjorkstrand and Eli Tolvanen, right?
Okay. One last thing here on
So
Seattle. Are you looking at their stuff on Cap Friendly or NHL stats right now?
I was on the score actually.
Okay, the score, all good.
But I'm
So
off and I turned it off. Okay, so go. Go for it.
I'm on Cap Friendly, but I'm actually going to do something else. I'm going to pull up daily faceoffs line combos
Do it.
because if what I'm seeing on Cap Friendly is accurate, which I'm pretty sure it should be, yes, it is. Dave, the Seattle Kraken's fourth line is Ty Cartier, someone who I like, who scored some big goals for them in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah.
he's got 13 points in 40 games. Like he's doing fourth line stuff, to be honest. But their fourth line center is Jared McCann,
Is it?
and the right winger is Andre Burakovsky.
Okay, that makes more sense. But I
It probably doesn't though. Like even Burakovsky's been injured,
okay,
so I guess they're easing him in. But
okay, yeah, fair. But Jared McCann, fourth line. So who is the first line center?
okay,
Does
I'm just gonna run us
okay,
down
go
the
on.
entire
Do it.
roster, not the entire roster, the forward core
Give me the
here.
forward
Okay,
group. Yeah.
first line, Tatar, Beniers, Aberly. Like you're like okay, like
Thomas
okay,
Tatar's first line winger on the Seattle Kraken in
yeah, okay.
2024 is a bit of a crazy statement right there.
Let's even say like let's just say through Burakovsky up there and Tatar on the fourth line. Like Tatar fourth liner is weird too. Like second line, Jaden Schwartz, Wenberg, Brandon Tanev. Third line,
Okay.
Tolvanen, Yanni Gourde, Bjorkstrand. Like
Okay,
what
so
I'm
that's
trying to
their
say
their
here,
third line is the scoring line. Who was the
yeah,
center there?
um, Yanni Gourde,
Yanni Gord, who is okay,
16 points.
he is
But
farther down the list in terms of
my
goals.
my
Because I was
point,
gonna make I was gonna make that say it because two of those
yeah.
forwards are the leading scorers on the
Well, he's
team.
probably the defensive the defensive
Yeah,
conscious,
yeah,
right?
100%.
My point is like that entire forward core is just mumbo jumbo, just throw guys wherever. This line,
It's literally
there's
plug and
he
play.
there's no way that Dave Haxtell's not just rolling four lines. That's what he's doing
Oh,
there,
yeah.
and that was something that was going on last year. And I'm happy to see that they've maybe rekindled that fire that they didn't have at the beginning of the year. Because I really liked Seattle last year. And if they've got goaltending this year, watch out. Okay. Other team we didn't talk about here is Florida. I feel like we haven't done any Florida talk all year.
They're good. What do you want us
Um,
to say about them?
but like to be honest, Dave, like if you asked me right now, this is a take that I was sitting on at
Okay.
the beginning of the week. That I wish Brian was here to hear this
Is
too,
it a
because I
bit
would
of
have
a
loved to.
spicy take? Is it
I don't know if it's incredibly spicy. It's more just like I had an epiphany on my vacation that I just realized I'm like, these are the two teams that if I had to like make a Stanley Cup final right now, these are my picks. Um,
Jets
it's
Panthers?
the Florida Panthers to me. Like it's Florida Panthers. It's not the Jets. Um, I'll start with the Panthers. I'll just do a little bit on my other team there, but Florida is really freaking good. Like they just have the vibes. I know that's not a very
It's not
scientific
substantial.
way to look
Yeah.
at it at all.
Yeah.
But they
There's no
have
quality,
the look.
there is zero qualitative or was it quantitative data to back up the vibes. The vibes
But
per
they like
90 though are off the charts.
yeah,
Vibe per 60 off the charts.
yeah. But like they are at the top of the league. They are on a damn 9 game win streak. And like I said, I had this thought a couple weeks ago that I wanted to flush out. I just really like the makeup of not only their forwards, but their defensemen. When you look at guys like Oliver Ekman-Larsson, Dmitry Kulikov, Nico Mikkola, those are half of their decor was brought in the summer, and they've
Yeah.
all exceeded, I think, expectations for what they would provide for this team. And then Forsling, Ekblad, and Montour are all higher end guys. Gustav Forsling is a guy who's going to get paid as a free agent this summer, whether it's by Florida or not. Brandon Montour, despite not having the greatest start, will get decently paid this summer.
Yeah.
Like he's got more in the
Also,
tank. We know that.
him and Ekblad were injured to start the year as well.
Yes,
That's
for
just the
a month.
that is just the effect of a long playoff run for the both of them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but 100% if you get them healthy for playoff time, wow.
Sam Reinhart is an alien. 30
Yep.
goals in 41 games for 53 points. Is it that sustainable? I'm
I don't know.
honestly more. I'm honestly inclined to say though it's pretty sustainable. He is a net front like
God, demon.
yeah. He's insane. Whatever adjective you want to use, he is that. Um, I really do think he's really good. And with Florida the past couple years, like going back to their President's Trophy season, or at least I think they finished second actually President's Trophy that year. Can't remember, but that the season where they were just going off. Their advanced numbers are really good again. And a lot of that Sam Reinhart, like he's been really good on the defensive side of things, controlling the play. I think he's like over 60% for expected goals when he's on the ice. Or like his team is um, controlling the play in that sense. Evan Rodriguez, they've got 26 points in 41 games out of him. Great signing. I love that from the moment I saw it. Verhaeghe doing Verhaeghe things. Bennett honestly has been half a point per game, but we know what he provides outside of the offense, which is wrestling moves. Um, Matthew Tkachuk is turning it on. That's something we've talked about at school. I think it
That was
was
probably the biggest, you have all of these guys just maybe not even overperforming, but like to a point. Like I think Sam Reinhart is well overperforming his expectations for this year. But you had a guy like Matthew Tkachuk with, all the hype that was around him heading into this season, starting off pretty slow, very, very low and abnormal shooting percentage for him. But I think he's got like 5 goals in his last few games. It's ridiculous. Like I think he's got like 14 points over his last 6 games or something stupid like that. If you get
some to
all
that effect.
if you get also then get Matthew Tkachuk moving on this team, the Florida Panthers, unfortunately for the rest of the Atlantic Division, and that includes the team that me and Christian cheer for.
The team
uh,
that they're matched up against right now, if the playoffs started today,
yeah, yeah,
I'm not taking if the playoff series started today, I'm not taking the Leafs to win it. I'm not.
Well,
Uh,
here's the thing. They're currently on pace to not even do that because they might finish first in the division. And guess who that means the Leafs get in the first
Give me
round.
those guys. Give me those guys. I don't care.
It's a pick
Give
your
me those guys.
poison, right? It's a pick your poison.
Yeah.
I don't even know who. Oh, oh. It
Like I
sends a
said,
shiver. It sends a chill down my spine talking about both of these teams. Well, the other team, I don't know. We could talk about a different time. They're not really playing too hot right now, but the Florida Panthers, they not only do they play fantastic regular season hockey, they also play fantastic playoff hockey.
they
That
have
is
the
the
it
scary
factor.
part. That is the
They have
scariest part.
they
Yes.
have the it factor. I just wanted to touch on a guy that I wanted the Leafs to trade for last year and who has now been very good for them. Nico Mikkola playing over 20 minutes a game on their second pair. Uh, he's been really good. He's a giant. He is what is his height here? It's like 6 foot
Six
seven. Like
six.
dude, yeah, he's a giant. He's 6 4. I'm exaggerating a bit, but dude is built. Dude is tall. Dmitry Kulikov, like I said, he's been really steady for them. And Oliver Ekman-Larsson has been a godsend, at least even in the first month of the year when, like we said, no Montour, no Ekblad. That was Ekman-Larsson stepping in there. And goaltending. Stolarz has been great as a backup, 923 in 11 games. Bobrovsky's been Bobrovsky, at least the good Bobrovsky, 913 in 31 games. So he's doing his job in that sense. They're scary. They've got a bunch of rats. They've got Nick Cousins, Ryan Lomberg, Matthew Tkachuk, Sam Bennett, Sam Reinhart, like rats, rat central. As Kevin BX put it, that guy's a rat,
That
and that
guy's a
just goes
rat.
for the entire. Yeah, that guy's
Yeah.
a rat. This team
It's the whole
is
makeup
made
of
of
that
rats.
team.
Oh
Yes.
yeah, so the Florida Rats, that's enough on them. They yeah, like I said, so they would be my cup pick on or at least my Stanley Cup final pick on the East side. I'm not gonna go too in depth on the West side. We can flush this out, but I would say right now it's the Dallas Stars. I really like Dallas.
Yeah.
Matt Duchene is kind of nuts right now. I think he's point per game. I don't know if we expected that, but for 3 million, you got a point per game player is nuts. They already had one of those. His name was Joe Pavelski. Um, Thomas Harley, who I should have went with as my breakout player of the year. He was on my short list, and I didn't have the guts to lock him in, so
I
it
mean,
doesn't count.
I still think you got a pretty good
But
breakout there too. But yeah, you had
he's
a
been
couple of picks there.
really
Yeah.
good. He's been
Brock,
really good.
him and
He
Brock
is the
Faber
difference.
have like
Yeah,
on actually him, Brock Faber, and Evan Bouchard have like really all three of them come into their own for all their respective markets.
yeah. I just think that Dallas Stars not only have one of the best made-up teams right now, but then you look at the assets that they can trade, and they're going to make some big moves at the deadline. They're going to get a defenseman that's going to really solidify their team. And then they're going to call up Logan Stankoven and Maverick Bork, and they're going to be nuts.
Yeah.
That's what I've got right now. Just had to get that off my shoulders because, like I said, I just had this epiphany. I'm like, these are the two teams I really believe in right now. And unfortunately, yeah, for beliefs, it's Florida. So yeah, that's four teams on historic heaters right now. Next
Let's
topic.
yeah, let's start moving forward.
Yeah, next topic we've got here. Corey Perry is a free agent. Officially, and while I think it's been officially for a while, we've now had reports that he's had his conversation with Gary Bettman to clear him to join another team. Uh, Dave, I got to run for a couple minutes if you want to
Yeah.
give a rundown of the scenario here, and I'll jump back in and
Go.
we'll get a
Yeah.
discussion going.
So we still fully don't even know what happened to Corey Perry during his time in Chicago. There was unfortunately some unsubstantiated rumors that were dispelled by the team and by the team and by the players around the team as well, by the owners. But Corey Perry, he's cleared again to play hockey. I don't think I need to go back into Corey Perry, like that whole situation, but I think now
We
we
don't
can
have any
kind
new info on it. Like
yeah.
it's
I
tough for
think
us
now
to really get into.
we could just move
Yeah,
forward basically, right? Like this is the forward point. There's always going to be the questions around what happened, but I don't think we deserve it basically. Um
yeah. Like we talked about this before. This is one we're not privy to, um, and we don't need to be. This is something too where the NHLPA might still file a grievance. They actually don't need Corey Perry's permission to do that, I don't think, but they'll probably try and get it. Perry might not be interested in doing that, but that's probably like the next step in this story. But until then, like we know just as much as everyone else. Like even the insiders don't know what's up here, other than he's cleared to be signed.
so with that, there was a report out that I forget who it was, if it was Frege or somebody else that said that multiple teams were interested in Corey Perry, and of course they should be. Like
Yeah,
he might be the hottest, property on the market right now before the trade. You add Corey Perry before the trade deadline, that is your trade deadline set in stone, basically, right? Like you might,
it's kind of weird that we've had three players sign as free agents like in the middle of the year. I guess I don't know why it just seems weird. Like Ethan Bear, Patrick Kane, Corey Perry, just something I thought of.
yeah. So I guess we could head into the side that we know the most, right? Unless you want to talk about anything else. But there was a
No, we're
report
good.
out. There was a report out from former Leaf Maple Leaf Carlo Koliakovo, former first round
Leaf
pick.
legend, former Leaf legend, who won the TSN quiz bout
Yeah.
on the last show
The
because
the legend of Woodbridge, Ontario, Carlo Koliakovo. I don't
exactly
even think he's from
shout out.
Woodbridge,
I
but
don't think he's from Woodbridge, but he's Italian and he's representing the Italian heritage in the NHL. So shout out
yeah,
Carlo.
shout out
And yeah,
Carlo.
Carlo, what did
So
Carlo say, Dave?
Carlo was like amongst the multiple teams that were involved, obviously, the Maple Leafs were very interested in acquiring the signing
I think he
of
even
Corey
used
Perry.
the words Mutual
Mutual. There
interest.
was mutual interest. And
Mutual.
this isn't the first time that Corey Perry has had mutual
Oh,
interest
it's
with
been
the
very
Toronto Maple Leafs.
flirty between the Maple Leafs and Corey Perry. Very flirty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%. This dates back to the COVID bubble Canada series when the choice was between for the Maple Leafs and Kyle Dubas at the time was between Wayne Simmons and Corey Perry. At the time, if you remember, Corey Perry wasn't the hottest property on the market like he is right now. I guess multiple runs to the Stanley Cup Finals does that to you, right? He just had finished one cup run and then signed with Tampa and went on another. No, sorry, he signed
Oh
with
no, he's out with
Montreal.
Montreal. Went
Signed with
on a cup
Montreal.
run. Then went to Tampa.
Tampa went
Went
on a
on
cup
a
run.
finals run.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
and
three finals runs in a row.
all three times
Empty
didn't.
handed.
Yeah, came out empty-handed. Unfortunately
The
for
actually no, I
him.
was gonna say the Marion host is special, but he did even better than that. He went 0 for 3.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, Corey has his cup already. It's just like nice to
yes,
add
yes,
on to the legacy of Corey Perry, right? It would be nice.
yeah.
And
Okay, question for
obviously,
you. Question for you
yeah,
though.
go.
This is just a very quick, very quick. So like we talk about like host that gets his cup, stuff like that. Like, do multiple? Would you say two Stanley Cup Finals appearances equals? It doesn't equal a cup,
No.
but like on Corey Perry's resume, if he retired today, like are we gonna say Corey Perry is a Stanley Cup champion and four-time cup
Finalist.
finalist? Yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
is
yeah.
there like I think there's something to
There's
be proud
credit
of
to
that
it.
you've made it the finals 3 times in a
Yeah.
row. You may have lost 3 times, but like that in itself proves that you're like a winner. You're a winning player. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know why I was just trying. I was trying to formulate. I'm like, how many finals equals a
I
cup? But really, the answer is none.
I see
You could
the
go for
reason.
7. It doesn't equal a cup.
Yeah, yeah. I definitely
Yeah,
see the
yeah.
reason. He has his name on it once, which is good.
It's more
Not
than
a lot of players don't even get that chance, right? A lot of players don't even
yeah.
get the chance to make it to the finals. Like that's crazy part.
Yes.
So maybe there is some credit there to make it to four separate cup finals. But basically multiple teams are looking to acquire the services for Corey Perry, right? The Leafs happen to be one. I don't, unfortunately, I'm not too sure if that's gonna happen. As much as I would love for it to happen, Christian,
Yeah.
I have a,
We're in favor of this. Like we would be in favor of signing him.
yeah,
And I think our concern is just like as it always is with the Leafs, the cap.
yeah.
What's his number? And I don't know if we can offer him the biggest number out of the multiple interested teams. Um,
Who
so
do
yeah,
you? I think now that we get that out of the way, do you have an idea of what team's gonna sign him?
I'm gonna go ahead and check on CapPlay to make sure this team has space to do it because you're not gonna like my answer. But
Oh, I think we might have the
I
same
should just go.
answer.
Yeah, I think we should just go.
Three.
Yeah.
Do you want to do it
What do?
on three?
Yeah.
Ready?
Three,
One,
two,
two,
one.
three.
Yeah.
Florida
Florida
Panthers.
Panthers. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
God damn it.
yeah,
God
yeah.
damn it.
That
God damn, the
is
team with the rats is getting the worm. God damn it.
the team
Yeah.
with the rat is getting potentially the maybe not the biggest rat out there because I think Brad Marchand still might hold that crown, but
Yes.
regardless, top five rat in the league. Rat per 60
Top five
for
rat, top one worm.
top one worm.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever disparaging nickname you want to give to Corey Perry, he's always there. That guy is like Thanos.
Yeah.
He is inevitable. It seems like he's inevitable, especially for a team that we just talked about potentially going on another cup run, could be going on another cup run. Like,
He's inevitable when it comes to facing the Maple Leafs potentially, right? Like,
yeah, yeah,
and as much as I hope Carlos Report is right that there's mutual interest, I also think that Corey Perry might even enjoy being on the other side of the Maple Leafs.
just
Like I
rubbing it in
think
our face. You know what?
I think he likes that,
I think he does too.
and this might
Uh,
be his best opportunity to rub it in our face and like
yeah, and also
not his
then
best opportunity,
win.
but just another one. Yeah,
Yeah,
I really hope he's on our side for once.
I
Send
really
him
hope
out
so
west,
too.
please. Put him on. I don't know. Put him on
The abs.
Vegas, and yeah. Like I don't care.
I don't care.
It's either the West or here, please. No other,
Yeah.
nowhere else. Um, yeah. Okay. So we'll see what ends up happening there. Almost guaranteed we'll get some more info on Corey Perry tonight on Saturday Night Headlines. Can probably
Yes.
bet on that right there.
Yeah.
Let's go on another quick break, and we're gonna end the episode with some Leafs talk. Okay, back from our break here. Gonna do some Leafs talk. There's probably a story that we should definitely lead with, but we're gonna not.
Yeah.
I interrupted Dave telling a story about one of our classmates that went to the Marlies game, and I'm like, maybe we should just talk about this on the pod because probably if you're here for Leafs content, you're definitely here for Marlies content too. So, Dave, what did the Marlies do last night?
So last night, so I wasn't at the game, but a mutual classmate went to the game, and I was like, I woke up and I was kind of interested, like, hey, like, did you get to see a good game? And it popped up on my feed where one by the name of Ryan Tverberg scored 4 goals last night, and he scored all 4 of them in the third period, like ridiculous stuff. The funniest part of this whole thing is that he's like, if you go back and watch, all 4 goals were all scored from like the OV spot. You know what I mean? All one-timers, all from would it be the left side? If you're watching on
Is
screen,
he a righty shot?
he has a righty shot, so it'd be
So it's got to be the left circle.
the left circle, right? Like if you're watching on TV,
Top.
it would be on the left side, right?
Okay.
Like of the 2 circles, it's on it's on the right side of the goalie, but it's the left side on the screen. That's the best way that
Yeah.
I could describe it. It is the if you're a right-handed player, that is your one-time spot. He scored all 4 of them from the exact same spot, like a young Alex Ovechkin. It was just crazy. So I was like,
Was sorry, go ahead.
I have no idea who the Belleville Sens goalie is, but whoever that goalie is, maybe I'll do some research into like whoever it is. I think you said Matt Sogard. I'm not too sure if it was Matt
I
Sogard.
know he's a Sens goal, Belleville Sens goal. I just don't know if he was in that last night, obviously.
Honestly, I would imagine he was in net. Maybe he started the game because the
Yeah,
Marlies won 8-0. I would be very surprised if one goalie was left in for all 8 goals, basically.
yeah, yeah.
Um, Whoever that goalie is, dude, go get a map, go get a scouting report because you might need it, dude. Like, I'm sorry, but that's it's
Yeah,
not
it's
great.
rough.
It's rough.
We don't know who's in net for the Belleville Sens, but who's in net for the Marlies? I think we know that one.
It was you know who got the big win yesterday?
Hmm.
Big boy Dennis Hill the Beast, dude.
The Hill the Beast is back. Yeah, no,
The
he's
Hill the
what
Yeah,
a return for the Hill the Beast from his
100%.
trip up with the big club where, he got to meet a bunch of the Swedes on the Leafs like Timothy Liljegren and Kalle Järnkrok and some fella by the name of William Nylander who just happened to sign a $92 million contract extension with the Toronto
Is
Maple
that
Leafs in case you haven't heard, in case you
is
live
that
under a
good?
rock, which maybe decent, perhaps I'll have to get back to you on that one, Dave. But yeah, unless you live under a rock, in which case, like, let me know because I don't know. Me and Dave have to find a place to live near our school. And if rent is good under your rock, maybe we'll buy we'll come and
We'll
live with
buy
you
the
under that
space.
rock.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll buy the space under your rock. Even though property taxes are going up. So if you got a rock somewhere, yeah, let us know.
Yeah, let us
I
know.
kid, but anyways, William Nylander doesn't have to live under a rock. He's living in whatever the hell he wants to
Penthouses,
live in
maybe.
because yeah, multiple houses, everything, the whole shebang. 11.5 million times 8 for William Nylander. It's it's weird because I actually think with this contract extension, this is the one that we had the most information leading up to the actual signing. Like the Austin Matthews number felt like it caught us a little bit by surprise. There was definitely an idea of where it was going to land, but it felt like we had more concrete info with this time in the lead up to the signing. What was your first reaction, Dave? We were both at school, to be honest, when this went down.
Yeah.
Um, but
But
what was your
we
first
also
thoughts?
did know it was coming, it seemed.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
Listen, I don't blame the guy for getting the absolute bag. Like I would have, if you had said to me, hey, William Nylander is signing, if you said 11 and a half to me during this
dude.
past off season, I would have
Oh my
slapped you in the
God.
mouth. I would have
Yeah,
slapped you out. I would have been like, that is a ridiculous number. But
yeah,
on the pace that William Nylander is currently on, I'm like, Thank God we caught it at 11 and a half and it didn't go up to like 12 or 13,
Dude,
right?
when
Like,
yeah, like when that report came out that it was going to be near 11 and a half, he scored 2 goals in that game, and we were literally sending texts, and like everyone on Twitter, I think, was doing the same thing. It's not like this was so creative of us, but every goal was
get
like,
it
"Oh
done.
shit, that's
Get it
another
done.
250K. Come
Get it done
on, Brad."
right now. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Um, okay. You made a good point there with the 11.5 and the fan reaction now versus in the summer. Um, so I think the Maple Leafs were not screwed here, but I don't know what kind of choice they had in the summer to sign Willie, because it basically sounds like this was their number from the get-go. Maybe not 11.5, but it doesn't sound like it was anything lower than 10.75 in the summer from Louis Gross and Willie. And 10.75 or 11.5, we would have had the same reaction to in the summer as we like it would have been bad. It would not have been a great reaction from the fans had he signed that deal in the summer. So I don't know what other option Brad and company had other than to let the season play out and let Willie's play decide what he's getting paid. And honestly, this scenario is much more appealing to me than the opposite, where we come into the season and Willie isn't this guy, because then it's even harder to justify signing him at 10.75 or 11. And we already know that the Willie and Louis Grosscamp weren't going to budge.
Yeah.
So honestly, the more I think about it, this is the only way the two sides are going to come to an agreement on an extension. Had Willie come slow out of the gates, I'm willing to bet he was going to hit free agency.
Yeah.
So this is a deal that is big on the surface. It's probably 0.75 to a million too much when you look at comparables, because 11.5 is more than David Pasternak's 11.25, right? And as much as he's keeping pace with Pasta right now, it's about it's not about 1 year, right? That's why
Yeah.
Willie's being signed to an 8 year deal. It's about multiple years. It's about doing this over an extended run, and Pasternak does have him beat on that front. But I don't really have too much of a doubt that this is the Willie going forward for the foreseeable future. I'm not
It,
that worried about that
listen,
at all.
if we get this exact same William Nylander for the next 6 years of this 8 year deal, I'm hoping
We're
it's all
laughing.
eight. But
Yeah.
we can't always predict, the future. If it's at least 6 years of this from Willie, oh man, it looks like Willie has only gotten better over the past few
Yeah.
years. Like maybe this isn't even William Nylander at his absolute best. Like maybe we haven't seen the peak William Nylander yet, and I'm hoping that we haven't. If this is the same Willie that we get, I think we're laughing 100%. If he
On the
only
flip side,
improves,
yeah,
man,
go ahead.
yeah, if he only improves, man,
Yeah. Watch out.
watch
Watch
out.
out.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, on the flip side, we're talking about the upside here and what he could top out at. What is the least William Nylander has to give you on a per season basis for you to feel okay with this deal?
So right now,
Goals and points.
goals and points, 100%. I think right now, with this amount of money comes added pressure, and I don't think the pressure has ever seemed to get to William Nylander, which
I'd say
which
the
is
only
a
time it did was in, and I don't even know if it was pressure. I'd say the only time we've seen Nylander struggle is
crumble
after the last contract dispute where he didn't play NHL
half a
action
season.
for half a season. It's the
Yep.
only time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Um,
if go ahead,
no,
yeah.
100%. Yeah, no, 100%. But I also think, regardless of those circumstances, I don't, it doesn't seem that that pressure ever really gets to William Nylander, which is a great sign. Um, Now there will be added pressure. There probably already is, and the contract extension hasn't even kicked in yet, but it is signed and it is ready for next season. So, for William Nylander to exceed expectations or at least maintain level with expectations,
Yeah. Yeah.
I think
What can justify his deal? What
I
is
think
$11.5 million value in terms of production?
I think at minimum 40 goals a year needs to be the bare minimum.
Yeah.
Fortunately and unfortunately, listen, there are times when players go through their stretches where that doesn't seem possible. But to make that type of money, 40 goals is the bare minimum. Anything less, in my opinion, is
It's a
a
slight
failure.
disappointment.
It
Yeah.
is a failure in my eyes. I'm not even saying
Yeah.
disappointment. It's a failure.
Yeah.
90 points minimum, 40 goals, 50 assists at the very least has to be the target for each and every year going forward. If he can crack the 100 point club every year for the next 6 years, I will be fine with
Ooh.
that. Can
Oh yeah.
you can you keep improving on your points? That is another thing I'm looking for. I I I like William Nylander right now, and every single year except for the one where he was held out for contract negotiations. If I'm not mistaken, every single year that William Nylander has played, his points, his goals have all improved. Like he always seems to set a new personal best for himself. Last year, he hit his personal best. I believe it was 40 goals right on the dot, maybe 41. Was it? It was just under 100 points, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it was 87, I think.
87. So
Yeah.
now for William Nylander, can you keep improving that point mark? This year, can you hit the 90 point mark? Next year, can you hit the 100 point mark? I want to see personal growth. I want to see growth every year. If you can keep hitting the standards that you set the previous year, I think that is another way that William Nylander can surpass expectations for his contract. And the final way that William Nylander can help surpass his expectations for his contract is by his playoff numbers. William Nylander is one of the on best in terms of points per game on the Leafs roster, has been one of the best in terms of points per game since he's come into the league in 20. Well, the first time he made the playoffs in 16-17, right?
Yeah.
2017 playoffs. He has been one of the better performing Maple Leafs. I don't think that there's a question about that. Over the past three playoff runs, William Nylander has been electric. Yeah. Can he maintain that same point per game pace, which is extremely hard to do in the playoffs? I will admit that. But if you are making this type of money, and this type of money, I get it in the playoffs, they don't get this money. They play for free, but that number is always going to be attached to William Nylander in the regular season and in the playoffs. So Willie, all three of those things need to be completed in my mind, fairly or unfairly, for you to achieve my expectations. And I know everybody has their own expectations for William Nylander, but those are my expectations going forward for William Nylander that need to be achieved every year to make this contract a success.
Yeah, I'm not going to expand too much on that because I think you laid it out really well there. Yeah, I think if I had to put like numbers, hard numbers on my expectations, yeah, it's probably 40, it's probably 90, give or take 5 points. That's what I'm expecting from him for at least the first 4 to 5 years of the contract. I think that's what I'm expecting. We've seen him take a step this year outside of production with penalty killing duties. Just his overall time on ice has gone up. It's above
Yep.
20 now. It's got to stay in that range for the at least the first half of the contract. So yeah, that's what I'm looking at there. All the other stuff you laid out well, like I said, the playoff stuff, just the year over year thing. Yeah. Outside of that, the more game to game Leaf stuff, is there anything on your mind? Because the more I think about it, I don't have too much on my mind other than one thought that I have been hammering home every time the Leafs go into overtime. Do you have anything other than that that you want to put out there Leaf wise?
Um, in terms of you're saying in Leaf wise or William Nylander wise?
No. I think we covered everything Willie wise, just game to game since the past week that we've
Well,
talked Leafs. Anything
listen,
specific that you need to talk about?
listen. We saw it this past it was Thursday night that they played. The Leafs are playing a back-to-back this weekend, and we might get into that just after this. But going forward, you have Austin Matthews, you have Mitch Marner, you have John Tavares, you have William Nylander, you have Max Domi, you have Calle Yarncroke, you have Noah Gregor who could skate like the wind, you have Nick Robertson who has one of the most lethal shots on the Maple Leafs. That's fine. Playing those, like, you got a lot of options for forwards. Did you notice David Kempf in that mix? I didn't. Sheldon. Just to point it out to you. Then you have on the back end, you have Morgan Riley, who is playing lights out. He has quickly become one of my fan favorites again after maybe a couple years of, slight regression. And I don't know if he was fully 100% over the past couple years. It looks like Morgan Riley is the Morgan Riley that we all grown to love. One of the best leaders on this team. Morgan Riley, hats off to him. I hope he makes the All-Star game. I would love to see him, just enjoying those festivities. I think he's deserved it. You have Timothy Liljegren, who has become one of the best options on this team defensively and offensively. He looks like he's taking big steps this year. You have guys like TJ Brody, who maybe their offensive game isn't there. Their defensive game still is there. You have guys like Simone Benoit, whose defensive game is awesome. Did you notice how I didn't mention Jake McCabe? The fact that Sheldon Keefe keeps getting his head dunked on in overtimes, it's beyond, like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's beyond whatever. Like, he just keeps getting soaked. He gets dunked on every single time that the Leafs, which has been multiple times this year, that he goes into the overtime period. How many games this year have we lost just because of bad personnel on the ice? In the overtime.
Yeah, it's probably like four or five. Um, me and David have been like flushing this out the entire year. I don't know because I don't think we ever brought it to the podcast, but it's just the idea that Jake McCabe is not it in overtime. He was actually been better like the past like 10, 15 games. I think he's been better than he was to start the year. Just like in 5-on-5 play and everything else. He even scored a goal a couple games ago from a sick dish from Marner. Um, but I just don't want Jake McCabe thinking he's all that offensively when he's in on the ice in overtime with guys like Mitch Marner, William Nylander, Austin Matthews, John Tavares, yada 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 yada. Jake McCabe, your job is not to take slap shots. Jake McCabe, your job is not to get in on the rush. Your job is not to forecheck down low. That's not your job, man. You're a defenseman. We need you to be a defenseman. Let the offensively gifted guys do the offensive stuff. Because even when it hasn't led directly to a loss for us in overtime, you'll see the near misses. If you just watch him in overtime, if this continues, which I really hope it doesn't, you will just see him make decisions that lead to the other team getting an offensive chance. Like I think just someone has to tell him, like, stick to defense. That's what you're good at least in overtime. We don't need you doing that. And as far as the coaching decisions go, this is something that Keefe has done before with like David Camp starting overtimes because he was our best face-off taker. This year, David Camp, I don't think has been our best face-off taker. It's been Tavares. Like Tavares has always been up there, but for whatever reason, Camp has regressed a little bit. But I haven't seen Camp to start overtimes. I don't think all year.
I don't think
And
so.
I think it's because I think it's Keith realized he's maybe overthinking it,
Hey,
and I think
yeah.
and he's overthinking it again with McCabe to start overtimes when you have, like Dave mentioned, Riley
Morgan
Liljegren
Riley.
who have shown better offensive instincts this year.
There
So I
is
just
there
don't.
is a quick fix here. Just let Morgan Riley start the
Yeah,
overtime.
like I'm not even like I understand what the Leafs defense is. Like I think McCabe is probably third in line. Could maybe put Brody too. I'd actually rather Brody, but like I'm fine if McCabe is in
It's a
the
3 and 4.
OT defense rotation. Like I'm fine with that. Doesn't need to be starting. Does not
No.
need to be starting. He's just not
Probably
there on the
doesn't even
totem
need to
pole.
be second either. Like
Yeah, no,
third
no,
third change Jake McCabe going against lesser opponents is
yeah,
probably where you want him. Like
yeah.
you start the overtime, you are putting him
Guess who
willingly.
Jake McCabe is more likely to go up against in overtime if you put him third? The other team's Jake McCabe.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I don't understand. Like I said, I just think it's Keith overthinking a little bit.
I think so too.
Uh, two things I think we have to touch on before we go. Shout out to Pontus Holmberg for a little nice stretch here. He's been getting lots of love from the fans and
What's the
from
name let's put it on record because I think the name you gave
the
him it's Hilarious.
Pontificate Holmbergini. I just like calling him the Holmbergini,
Ooh,
to be honest. That's
I,
the
I,
one. Yeah, yeah.
I feel
What
myself
cheers, Levitt? Yeah.
levitating.
Wingardium Levit. Yeah. Yeah. Listen. The Holmbergini is what I like to call it. More like if we got to shorten it there.
He's a
Yeah. Hop
he's
it.
more of like a he kind of plays more like a home Fiat Pinto or something like that. Like not the flashiest of
Yeah, I know.
cars.
Yeah, it's more like
A
the
home
Gregorgini than the Holmbergini. You're right.
yeah,
You're right.
it's the home Kia Elantra basically. Like,
We'll
does the
workshop
job.
it. We'll find something else. But yeah, Pontus Holmberg, two one-handed plays in 2 games to get the Leafs on the board. First one was a goal, very Crosby-esque, the one-handed little shove to score, and then he stripped the defenseman on the Islanders on Thursday.
Was it
And was
Noah
able to
Dobson?
one-handed. Might have been Dobson, yeah. I don't remember off the top of my head, but he
On
strips whoever it was and
crazy.
gets it over to Austin Matthews with a one-handed pass. So shout out to Pontus. He's been someone who I've liked since last year, but I actually thought he wasn't very good at all in his first couple stints with the big club this year. So just a shout out to him. And the other big thing we should talk about, and this goes to this weekend and next weekend where we have back to backs. Ilya Samsonov is back up with the club. He had a really good quote when he came up, just saying, "Listen, I'm focusing on the positive. Obviously, it was sad to get sent down, but it was a bit of a wake up call. And I think he said all of the right things. So kudos to Sammy for that. Sounds like he's in a decent headspace right now. Just got to see it in action. Dave, are you in favor of him getting into a game this weekend?
Well, am I in favor of it or is it is it destined to happen? I think it's more
Both.
destined to happen than in favor. I'm curious to see what Ilya Samsonov looks like after I think it was only a week off. Well,
It's a week
week
off,
off.
one practice with the Marlies, I think. That's it.
Yeah, okay. I'm curious to see. But should this experiment part 2 go awry once again, do the Leafs have to look in the goaltending market?
I'm not there. I'm not there. I think I talked about this with Brian last episode too. Actually, maybe it was off. Maybe it was off air. Um, Martin Jones, Joseph Wall, Dennis Hildeby. Give me any combo of those three this year. I think we need to maximize every single cap dollar we have. If we want to legitimately add at the deadline. If we don't, then that's a different scenario because I'm actually not opposed to standing pat this year and loading up for like next year, the year after. But if we want to make big splashy moves, uh, you send Sammy back down and you just go with Jones and Wall or Wall and Hill to be Jones Hill, whatever combo of those three. Because that's what best maximizes your cap. I don't think at least from Wall and Jones, we haven't seen any reason to doubt them yet. That can change. Um, but yeah, I'd rather put my faith into those guys than try. I don't know who's available on the market that's not going to cost you a ton that is reasonably greater than Martin Jones has been or even Samsonov.
Yep, I like
I
that.
just don't know. I just don't know. Like the Veggie Milkman,
Yeah.
but Arizona's decent, right? Like they're not trading him, so I don't know where. Like Jacob Markstrom's on the market. I'm not interested in that. We
I
can't.
know Elvis Merzlikins also on the market as well. I
So
don't know.
if they wanted to do a Sammy for Merzlikins swap,
Yeah.
now I can be entertained.
I'm thinking about that. I would think about
Yeah,
that. I
now I
wouldn't
can be
say pull
entertained because
that
they both
trigger.
have
Yeah.
they both have 1 year left on the deal. So this is just two teams saying we have a problem, you have a problem. Let's swap our problems and see if they magically fix themselves.
Yep.
Sometimes it works. Sometimes it works. A lot of times doesn't,
Elvis
but sometimes it works.
was Elvis Merzlikins not one of the goalies that stonewalled us
Oh,
in the Columbus
yes, he
series?
was. Yes, he
Yeah.
was. Yeah. I'm sure if you asked Tampa though, if they were interested in Ilya Samsonov, they say, yeah, we can fix him. He looked really good against us last year too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah. I agree.
yeah. We play are we playing
Tonight?
Detroit tonight?
No, I think it's
No,
the
no,
Avs
Colorado's
tonight.
tonight. Avs tonight, Detroit
We got
tomorrow.
we got both of the 90s to 2000s
Yeah.
like the rivalry. We got both of them on a back to back, and it's
We're
Avs
running
tonight.
we're running the Y2K gauntlet this weekend.
Yeah, yeah, we are.
Yeah.
We are
I forget
running
who our back to back is against last
the
next weekend, but
the Claude Lemieux bowl, basically, right? Did he not play for both teams, or am I mistaken?
I don't know, man.
Uh,
I'm about to do the Puckdoku after we wrap up here, and I still couldn't tell you. So that's bad on my part. That's not a good omen. Uh, I think okay. I think we're good, Dave.
I think
Anything else we got to
honestly,
add?
yeah. No,
Yeah.
just looking
Okay.
forward to this weekend. What is one thing you want to see from this weekend? I'm very curious to see Samsonov coming back, and in a perfect world, I hope it's on Sunday. So tomorrow, sorry, yeah, tomorrow that he plays against the Red Wings. Because if you have to pick your poison between the Avs and the Red Wings in terms of firepower going against, I'm
One
still choose.
poison will kill you, the abs. One poison maybe will put you in the hospital, the Red
Yeah,
Wings.
yeah, I'll put you in a
Yeah.
coma. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. If it's one thing I'm looking forward to seeing, it's probably specific to tonight. Like Leafs are coming off of actually a pretty well played game on the whole against the Islanders, where they got a bad result because of a few
Bad
crappy
turnovers.
defensive plays, bad
Hmm.
turnovers. So I just want to see a bounce back effort tonight. I want to see us go head to head with one of the cup contenders and show them that we are also a cup contender. I think
Get a win.
I get a win. Get a win on we're home tonight, I'm pretty sure, right?
Yeah,
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 we
yeah.
are home tonight. Get a win on home ice for the fans, get a win on home ice for us watching here. I was gonna say get a win on home ice for Brian, but I don't think he cares. Um, Shout out to Fubo, shout out to Razor, shout out to NHL Shop. Dave, who does Tony Soprano cheer for? Do we have any hockey references in The Sopranos?
Um, yeah, the I believe the Devils make like the show came around during the New Jersey Devils heyday. There might
Okay,
only be like
more what? Yeah,
there's only like one reference to the Devils, I think, throughout the entire show, which is
that's
ridiculous because they won like
yeah,
three chips during that time.
yeah.
Like crazy, crazy. David
Get
Chase, you
your
got it. You had to have done better during that time. But
Tony
get your
Soprano Devils jersey.
yeah, should get Tony Soprano 25 on the back. Shout out to 25 years of
Yeah,
The Sopranos. Christian, dude, I said it so many times. At some point in the future, you have to sit down, maybe for the 30th anniversary, sit down and just watch that show. I think you will enjoy it. It is a show that I think everybody should watch, personally.
fair enough, Dave. Fair enough, man. I've got no other thoughts. We'll leave you there. And we'll see you guys next week. Take it easy.
Later.